hello, everybody. Welcome into the Shelby County High School football pregame show live on location. A short drive for me out to Thompson High School as the Warriors going to host Enterprise tonight in a fun semifinal battle here in Class 7A. Their 8th consecutive trip here to the semifinals and looking for their 7th consecutive trip to the state championship game. Big opportunity tonight for the Thompson Warriors as they've really hit their stride at the right time of the season. And Andrew, not so close for him. He makes it all the way down to Saraland for that big top 5 battle between Spain Park and number 1 Saraland. Many people's favorite to win the Class 6A state championship this year. I think the winner of that game, great chance that they're going to walk away with a blue mat at the end of the season. So we got 2 big showdowns tonight as both of these teams look to advance on in the playoffs. Thompson to a state championship game, Spain Park to the semifinals in their first year back in Class 6A. So big opportunities ahead. And Andrew, this is football weather in the playoffs. We love it. It's finally here. We got 2 big matchups. We got cold weather. Just give us a quick synopsis of what we can expect tonight.
Well, don't act like because I'm any closer to the beach that it's any less cold, because we're dealing with the elements. I just saw my breath go out, but we're thriving down here, and it's because we've got such an amazing matchup like we do up in Alabaster. 2 really great matchups for you on this Football Friday as we hit the 3rd round of the postseason. Obviously, Thompson looking to keep its incredible form rolling up against Enterprise, and if they do, they'll have a chance to make some more history and extend that incredible state championship game streak that they've got going on up there in Alabaster. So big one up there for the Warriors, but we've got a huge one down here for the Spain Park Jaguars as they take on the Saraland Spartans, 2 of the most exciting and entertaining teams in all the state of Alabama, and two of the best teams to watch when it comes to both offensive and defensive football. So it's going to be a really fun matchup down here in the Mobile area. That's why I'm down here, and obviously Alec out there up in Thompson. So it's going to be a really, really fun night for us as we dive into these 2 matchups. But I'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge what happened before this night tonight, and that's what happened yesterday night at the Crampton Bowl as the Cornerstone Christian Chargers gave us our 2nd football state championship of the season. They go on and take the AISA Class A state championship in dominant fashion over Macon East Montgomery Academy. A 52-12 win that gives them their 2nd straight state championship. Just an incredible feat for the Chargers. Zeke Adams going for 7 rushing touchdowns, close to 400 rushing yards in the win. The defense really showing up in a big way for James Lee's team. Just could not say enough good things about them and what they're doing there down in Columbiana at Cornerstone. It was an absolute pleasure to watch them and be part of that incredible moment for them. So big congratulations to the Chargers. We're going to see if one of these 2 teams has what it takes to give our area a 3rd state championship for this season.
Wouldn't that be something? Hey, I think that was one of my bold predictions a couple weeks ago, was that we get a state championship at every level. Kind of switched things on the fly at the end of that show and went with my bold prediction that Thompson would beat Auburn, and that would give us a great path to Evangel, Cornerstone, and Thompson all winning state championships. And who knows, maybe Spain Park can pull off a magical upset tonight. Yep. So that would be a big one down there at Saraland. So plenty to get to tonight on the show. Before we dive too far in, we're going to let a few more people tune in. We've got us live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now. Hopefully we can get some people in, get some comments throughout the show. But before we dive too far into it, I'll tell you about one of our great sponsors who's joined us all year long right here on the Shelby County High School football pregame show, and that's going to be 3D Air Services. And we've talked about it all season that it was coming. The cool down was coming. You were going to have to crank that heat on. I cranked mine on for the first time last night, and it worked. But if it doesn't work, you're going to want to jot this number down, 205-664-3501, 205-664-3501. That's going to get you 3D Air Services, and they're going to take care of all of your HVAC needs this winter. If that heater goes out, they're going to get out there and take care of you, get it back up and running so that you can keep you and your family warm during the cold months ahead. Great service, locally owned and operated. 3D Air Services since 2005. It's called Shelby County Home, and they're more than just your trusted HVAC company. They're your neighbors, friends, and supporters. They are buying into all of our local teams this year, really getting out into the community and trying to buy into that. So make sure to support them in return. They're supporting our athletes, our schools, and obviously us as well. Such great service that they want to be able to come out and support you locally. They're your neighbors, they're your friends. They keep you and your family comfortable right here in Shelby County. Jay Carr and his certified crew going to take fantastic care of you throughout the winter. And then, of course, we all know it's going to heat up again next year, and you're going to have to get that air conditioner fixed up as well to be here before you know it as we just cool down. But 3dairservices.com. Visit them, check out their service, everything they can offer you. They're going to take great care of you throughout the cold months. Andrew, I'm going to flip a coin. I'm going to let you choose tonight where we start. Start with Spain Park and Saraland, top 5 battle, or do we start here at Thompson High School with the Warriors and Enterprise?
I'm going to give you the honors, Alec. Let's go dive into Class 7A with Thompson and Enterprise.
Let's do it. Let's start off strong with the Thompson Warriors. They take down number 1 last week in Auburn. They go on the road, take down Auburn in a top 5 battle there. Something Spain Park's going to hope to do a similar situation tonight. But the Warriors, just an incredible story. 8 consecutive years they've made it here to the semifinals in Class 7A, the highest classification in the state of Alabama. That's just truly remarkable. And we thought that was their toughest obstacle a week ago between them and a state championship. They get over that hurdle. You can't look past this game tonight to get to a state championship, and you got a week and a half after this to prepare. So I don't think they will, because if they do, this Enterprise team could sneak up on them. But, man, Andrew, this team is just clicking on all cylinders right now at the perfect time.
It's hard to bet against the Thompson Warriors right now, and that's simply because of what we saw from them last week. Not only beating the Auburn Tigers, but manhandling the Auburn Tigers. It was a domination from start to finish, pretty much. And to be able to neutralize, in my opinion, the best offense in the state, averaging nearly 50 yards per game, and all-star quarterback and skill positions all around there. Anquan Fagan did an incredible job locking down Peyton Plott throughout that game, their top receiver, and they were just able to ride that to victory, get some big plays off of that, and put together their single best performance of the season. This team is a long way from where you and I first saw them to start out the season. Yep. Those 2 out-of-state games that you and I both witnessed. I think this team has grown leaps and bounds since then, particularly on the offensive front, where they've continued to get back to that Thompson of old, getting back to Trent Seaborn's comfort zone, which is dominate through the air at any and all distance, getting those perfect passes, and being really efficient doing so, going 18 for 21 last week in that win against Auburn. But still as balanced as ever. Those 2 running backs, Mike Dujon and RJ Evans, they're really, really key parts of this offense. And I think it is going to be a really important test for them to see how they establish that line of scrimmage tonight, because Enterprise, while I'm sure you're going to talk about their failures on the offensive end against some of their biggest tests that they faced all season, they've got a couple of great players over on the defensive front. One of those in particular, one of 2 guys in the top 10 of prospects within this class of Alabama athletes that Auburn does not have. And that is Zion Grady up on the defensive line. He's going to Ohio State, and he is going to look to cause some havoc up there along the front. So the key battle that I'm looking for is how can this offensive line really neutralize him and be able to give Trent Seaborn some more time to be able to make those throws, because when he has a few seconds to make some throws and let his receivers get some separation, it's just about game over.
Well, talk about that a little bit too, because this is a team in Thompson that we saw the early season offensive struggles, and I think people forget just how difficult their schedule was with the defenses they were taking on. They've taken on not only some of the best defenses in this state, but some of the best defenses in the country when you look at how they started the season, and I think that's starting to pay off at this time of the season. So you talk about that in the offensive line having to step up, but it's not going to be anything that's really that much more difficult than what they've seen consistently throughout the season as well. And this offense finally learned how to deal with it and make plays going up against strong defensive fronts and defenses.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way Clay Chalkville dominated a lot of that game, really neutralizing some of their playmaking abilities. What Hoover was able to do at the second level to really prevent the offense from dealing damage within the red zone, and then even Grayson as well. Those were three really tough tests for them that they all ultimately lost within overtime. But it's the advantages of scheduling a tough schedule. And you look at all those games, only one of those was within reach to play. So those two tests against Grayson and against Hoover, against Clay Chalkville, very intentional on Coach Freeman's part to get them prepared for this point right now. You face tests in the regular season to learn your lumps in the regular season to get to a point now in the playoffs where you can go out and perform your absolute best. That's exactly what these Warriors are doing, and it's exactly the reason why they should be heavily favored with this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you look at how these two teams compare. Thompson's just grown tremendously from start to where they are now, and in particular on that offensive side of the football. You look at Trent Seaburn and obviously the talent that he has at the quarterback position, but when you've got guys like Darian Mosley stepping up, Dedrick Kimbrough stepping up, and other receivers, Price Lewis, Brooks Byers. This is a deep receiver unit now that knows and understands where they need to be, and Seaburn trusts where they're going to be. And that was what was missing early in the season. He was overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. They just weren't on the same page, and that's where this offense has really grown and transitioned to this point in the season. And we've seen it the last few weeks, the end of the regular season, the beginning of the playoffs. They've been clicking on all cylinders, and they've done it against teams like Enterprise or better than Enterprise. And that gives me a lot of faith that this offense is going to continue to propel forward tonight in this game. It is a chilly night, so that could have a little bit of an impact, but you can tell that they're amped up out here in warm-ups. This team, there's going to be so much adrenaline flowing in a game like this that I don't think that matters too much at the end of the day. But you pair that offensive growth this year, Andrew, with a defense that's been as dominant as any in the state of Alabama all season long.
Yeah, the defense has been this team's calling card, and it typically is. We've looked at the Thompson teams that have been dominant in the past. They're led by their defense and led by those playmakers over there. And this year is absolutely no different, and it's a new set of playmakers by and large. Obviously, Anquan Fagan's coming into his final form, really, as a lockdown safety, really being able to absolutely dominate and eliminate a top receiver from each team, which forces them to go to their second and third options. And then the more times they have to do to get to those second and third reads, that just leaves even more time for guys like Garrett Smith, Cam Pritchett, Nick Alston to break through and be able to get to the quarterback. And they've done it the past couple of weeks without Vinny Pires. Pires has been out injured. He was in street clothes on the sidelines last week. Not sure if that's changed this week or if you've seen him come out yet. But if they have to do that again, will they be without one of their top playmakers? Yeah, Pires has been such a difference maker for this defense. But this defense is so deep and has so many different playmakers that they've hardly missed him. In fact, I called that their best defensive performance last week against Auburn of the season. They did that without one of their best playmakers at the linebacker position. I think that just says so much about where this Thompson team is right now, that they're able to just have both the next man up mentality and really be able to get plays and stops from whoever they need to on the defensive end. And I think they'll be able to do that against an Enterprise offense that's really struggled to keep up with some of the top offenses that they face. Teams like Auburn, teams like Central Phoenix City, teams like Opelika, who we all saw go very far within that region that they played in. But it's definitely going to be an interesting test. And I really do believe this Warriors defense is going to do what it needs to do again to rise up to the challenge and get this team to yet another Super 7 appearance.
Yeah, and this is a defense that's going to keep you in every game, and that's shown all season long. That's why all three of their losses are by 1 point in overtime, because the defense got them to that point. And I think that's a huge key for this team if they're going to win a state championship, is that defense has gotten them to this point and will propel them forward at the same time. But it's that offensive growth that sends them over the top at this point. And you look at this Enterprise team, how they played against Auburn earlier in the season, a 53-22 loss. Thompson just beat Auburn 34-21 and really dominated that game from start to finish. So that tends to show you that Thompson likely going to be the heavy favorite in this game. Andrew, I want to get your closing thoughts. I think you've already given your prediction, but you can give it one more time before we move away from this big game.
Yeah, I think Thompson's going to win this one. And like we mentioned on the show earlier this week, the only way they won't win is if their focus isn't there. And the fact that they were so sharp going into last week, I talked to Coach Freeman after the game, and he really just talked about the fact that they really didn't need any coaching by the time they got to Friday night. The guys were just so motivated and ready to go out there and play that even though they were facing their toughest test of the season, they were ready to hit somebody in the mouth and just go out there and fight for that win. And that's exactly what they did. I think they're going to come out here, recognize what the task is, recognize what they need to do in order to get this victory, and then go out, do it, and take care of business. Because I really do believe that this team is playing a good enough football to fully dominate this game. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout because Enterprise has gotten to this stage for a reason, but I really do believe that this team is strong enough to get back to the Super 7, and it knows that it can. But it also knows the effort that it's going to take to get there, and that they need to win this football game in order to do so. So I expect that to happen tonight out there in Alabaster.
When we saw last week going into that Auburn game, the preparation as we got out here to shoot our weekly show, just how hard they were being coached in that situation to go up against a really good team. The best coaches do that same thing when you're going up against a team that you should beat as well. And I think that's going to be a key tonight. I know this team, I know this coaching staff, they're going to have everybody focused and ready to roll in a game like this that could be easy to get sights set on a state championship game. But they've been in this situation. They know how to prepare, and they know what it takes. And this is a team, and it's every year. They don't want to be the team. Last year it was the team. They didn't want to be the one that lost that state championship streak. Well, that happened. They're playing with a chip on their shoulders at this point in the playoffs, but they also don't want to be the team that is the first in 7 years to not make it to a state championship game as well. So I think that plays a little bit of a factor in motivating this team as well. But that balance offensively, that's the tipping point for me. I think Thompson's offense and the growth they've shown there to pair with a defense that's just unbelievable in what they've been able to do, shutting down some of the best offenses. That was an Auburn offense scoring 47-plus points per game on the season, and Thompson held them technically to 14 points before that really late score gave Auburn 21. So this Thompson defense playing outstanding. The offensive growth has been unreal as well. I think that's the tipping point tonight. The Warriors walk away with the win and get to yet another state championship game with a chance at redemption for last year's loss. That takes us to the one down there. Andrews made the long road trip down south to a big top 5 battle. Number 1, Saraland. Number 4, Spain Park. It's going to be a great battle between these two teams. The offense of Spain Park and the success they've had, the dominance on both sides that Saraland has had with a star athlete at the quarterback position. It's going to be an entertaining one. Before we get to it, I got to tell you about our friends at Scooter's Coffee, who have proudly supported us on the show, the Spain Park Jaguars, all season long, conveniently located right there off Highway 280 in Inverness and in Chelsea, next to Chipotle and Home Depot there in Inverness, and also down the road just over the mountain in Chelsea, next to Buffalo Wild Wings and the new La Quinta Hotel right there in Chelsea. Scooter's Coffee, they've got that new holiday menu out. It's the Candyland menu, the great famed board. They've got the Candyland menu out right now. So go by and test it out this weekend. If you're doing some early holiday shopping, if you're getting ready for Black Friday, you got to get up early on Black Friday. You're going to need some energy and caffeine to get you going. They've got the lattes. They've got iced coffee. They've got blenders. And they've got Red Bull infusion drink, too. Incredible as well. So make sure you try all those drinks. But their food menu as well. They've got specialty items right now for the wintertime. They've got those cake bites, the egg omelet bites, the pretzel twist, and so many other things, breakfast burritos. You'll want to be able to stop by their quick service. I saw the other day like 3 or 4 cars pull into the drive-thru at the same time, and almost before I could get through the next light, they were all gone out of there. They take care of you real quick at Scooters, so make sure you visit them right there on Highway 280 in Inverness or out in Chelsea. Visit their website, scooterscoffee.com. Check out the great menu. See what you want to get. Head there tomorrow as you do some holiday shopping or get around before all the great college football action takes place. But before we get to college football, before you get your Scooters fix, we got a big game down there, Andrew. Spain Park, Saraland. What are your initial thoughts on this game? When you look at Spain Park's offense and the success that they have, the balance they have on that side of the ball, Saraland as a whole, just a great team on both sides of the ball. Spain Park, some slight struggles in the postseason on the side of the ball.
If you love explosive, dynamic offenses that are really balanced and anchored by strong quarterback play, do yourself a favor and turn on NFHS Network tonight, because you will be in for an absolute treat. tonight as these two teams go to war. Two Power 4 future quarterbacks in Brock Bradley and KJ Lacey going to be going up against each other. Both have really strong big playmaking abilities. Both have really been shown to be strong and make plays when they need to. But also two teams that really like to rely on the running game as well. Sante McWilliams Jr. Had multiple touchdowns for them a couple weeks ago against Chelsea and has been a strong back for them all season long. And then you look at what the Spain Park team has done on the ground this postseason in particular, and it's really been the Dakari Shanks and CJ Cowley show, combining for close to 600 yards between those first two games against McGill and against Russell County. And really bucking the narrative that this team needs to go through the air in order to succeed. If you watch them at all this season, you know how much they love to pound the rock and how much they love to get both of those running backs involved as much as possible. And I really do think that when this team is at its strongest, it's when it's at its most balanced. And that's what it's going to need to do tonight against the Saraland defense that has been extremely strong throughout the season. And their toughest test was against St. Paul's, a game where I believe they only allowed just 17 points in that, and have rolled through pretty much every other game, have not really been tested much to this point, simply because they have been so much better than everybody else, including a really strong Class 6A Region 1 down here in the Mobile area. So this is the biggest test that Spain Park has faced all season. Bigger than Hoover, bigger than James Clemens, bigger than Helena, bigger than anybody else. Simply because this Saraland offense can make a play happen at a dime. It can get the end zone whenever it wants to. And it's going to really test a defense that found itself on the ropes at times the past couple of weeks, facing a deficit against McGill-Tulane in that first round, and then struggling to keep up in those opening moments of the second half that you saw against Russell County last week. Another really strong offense for there in the Warriors, but nothing at all like we're going to see tonight here in Saraland.
Yeah, I think you look at this one and you look at Spain Park's offense, they're going to have to play a good game tonight. And I think they're built for a good game in this matchup. I know it's a very talented Saraland defense that's been one of the best in the state this year. We just talked about that with Thompson, but Saraland giving up 10.4 points per game defensively right now, this point in the season. And they've played some good football teams too. Maybe not the strongest schedule in the state, but it's still been a very strong schedule to get them to this point. So to give up 10.4 points per game has been impressive. Also scoring north of 40 points per game. That's where the key is to me. Spain Park's defense has struggled the first two rounds of the playoffs. After playing so well down the stretch defensively, they've struggled there here in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. They're going to have to play better tonight, but the offense is going to have to also play catch up, or I should say they're going to have to play keep up throughout the night.
Right.
And I think they are built to do that. That's kind of what I'm building up toward there. I think they're built to do that. You look at Brock Bradley, you look at the balance of this offense. Last week, the first 2 weeks, we talked about Dakari Shanks, CJ Cowley have gone for north of 550 yards combined just on the ground between the two of them in the first two rounds of the playoffs. They've been outstanding. They've both gone over 100 yards in the first two rounds just running the football. They've also caught some big passes out of the backfield as well. So you add that dynamic. Early in the season, it was the passing game. Brock Bradley finding receivers kind of shocked us a little bit with how balanced the passing attack was to different guys. And then you start to see that running game improve and get better and better and better. Those two guys are running angry. They're running motivated and determined to make a difference. And it's opened up things a whole lot because now Saraland's going to have to be prepared, as talented as they are at the high school level. The most difficult thing to me is if you've got multiple playmakers having to guard the entire field when it comes to your defensive schemes. And that's what Spain Park's going to present tonight. Brock Bradley's going to be able to throw the football to some open guys. And if you start to play back, Dakari Shanks and CJ Cowley are going to be able to beat you in the run game. So they're going to keep the Saraland defense true tonight. And I think that's Spain Park's best chance to be able to hang in this one.
You're absolutely right with that. The reason why Spain Park has been so strong on offense all season is because they simply find a way to get to the end zone. No matter what it takes, their passing game gets shut down, we're just going to go to the run. The run game gets shut down, well, we're just going to air it out all night long on you. So they're going to have to make sure that no matter what this defense presents itself, that they find some ways to scheme up offensively in order to make it so that they can continue to get down the field and get to the end zone on a consistent basis. Because I think this team is going to need to come out and score just about every drive in order to keep up with this team. But I do think that they're also going to need the run game a little bit to kind of pace the ball on the ground and make sure that Saraland has less time to score as well. But in order to do that, they're going to have to come out and score consistently on their own end, because I don't see a way where the Spain Park team is going to be able to keep up if they're coming from behind. So a strong start is going to be absolutely essential in order to make this happen tonight. I make it sound like Saraland should be this huge prohibitive favorite, but Spain Park is here for a reason. They're undefeated for a reason. They have the skill players that they need to be able to keep up with this matchup. And I think you could look around and argue that this is the biggest test that Saraland is going to face all season long as well. So we're going to see what both these two teams are made of tonight. It should be a really entertaining battle, a close one, but I do think it's one that favors Saraland.
Well, and you look at the game as well. Spain Park doesn't win 17 games in a row and get to 12-0 this season without being well coached and without understanding how to win football games. And that's one of the biggest things to me, is that even when they haven't played their best, in particular on the defensive side of the ball, not only has the offense made the plays to win games, but the defense has stepped up at the right times, even in those struggles, to be able to make plays to win games as well. So to me, that's one of the biggest things going into this game, is that even if they lose some confidence on either side of the ball, you have faith and trust that you're going to be able to make a play when it matters late in the football game that could make a difference and ultimately win it. We've seen it time and again. You look at them beating Hoover early in the season, week 2 of the season. That game, I think, means a whole lot right now going into this game tonight, because that's a team that's comparable when it comes to a talent level to what Saraland's going to present on the football field tonight. And Spain Park's offense, they got it done. The defense, they made plays in the fourth quarter when it mattered. And I think that's something that could really make a difference in this one. I think Spain Park makes this a fun game. I think it's going to be an entertaining one. You don't work every day in the weight room like that team does and go down without a heavyweight fight. This is the kind of game they build toward all offseason and all season long as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Andrew, closing quick thoughts on this one, and we'll give I know you've already said that you think Saraland's going to win this one, but last little thoughts and prediction there.
Yeah, I do think that Saraland's going to win this, just because, like I said in my predictions article earlier this week, I think the Spartans team has just a slight edge on the offensive side when it comes to explosivity. I think it has a slight edge on the defense when it comes to consistently making stops. And I think that's especially held true these past couple of weeks through what we've seen from both of these two teams in the first 2 rounds. But I genuinely think that both these two teams are going to come out, give each other their best, and make it an incredibly close game. I think it's going to be a single-digit game. I don't see either of these two teams getting out and making a run of it. And I really do believe that this Spain Park team is going to prove tonight, win or lose, that they deserve to be here and deserve to be within that top 5 and even beyond of teams within Class 6A. And most of these playmakers are still very young. A lot of this core will be back next year as well. KJ Lacey will not be back next year. So that is one thing. But if they're able to get a win on him tonight, and the Spartans team, then what an absolute statement it would make for the Spain Park team, for Coach Mikakis, and for football at Birmingham. I'll just go ahead and say it as well. Just the strength of this region compared to Mobile as well. And Thompson, just another chance to prove just how consistently good and strong that program is. Really make another statement about their continued dominance. A year that I think you and I would both agree that this is a down year for Thompson. To be able to go out and still make the state championship definitely says something about the way that this team continues to stack up to the Titans of Class 7A.
Yeah, we got 2 good ones on our hands tonight. It should be a lot of fun watching both of these games. Very, very excited. We're headed to close to the national anthem here at Thompson, so we're going to close it down, but it's going to be a fun night of high school football for our 2 teams left standing in the playoffs. The Thompson Warriors, they get Enterprise, win this one, on to their 7th consecutive state championship game. We both think that happens. The balance of this offense is just too much right now, and this defense is dominant as any in the state. As for the Spain Park Jaguars, a team that has made plays all year long to win football games, and an offense that is as balanced as any in the state as well. And I think that gives them a lot of hope going into a big matchup. This team's on a winning streak, and they're going to give everything they have against the best team in the state. Would not be surprised at all if the Spain Park Jaguars walk away with the upset. And like Thompson last week, that may be their biggest hurdle between them and a state championship. I think the winner of the game tonight down there at Saraland will win a state championship this year. So big opportunity for the Spain Park Jaguars as Tim Vakakis has that team rolling and doing incredible things down there. That does it. Andrew, have fun. Stay warm. Enjoy it. Hopefully it's a good one just like last week was. We'll see how it unfolds, but extremely excited to follow along with you at Andrew T. Simonson over on Twitter or X. Make sure you follow along all night, the live updates, the videos that he's going to have out there for you throughout the game. After, of course, he'll have his story and his photos posted up there for that big game featuring Spain Park. We'll see how the Jaguars handle that one on the road. Same here for me. Video coverage tonight. We'll have the videos after the scores. We'll have a video after the game. We'll have a story. We'll have photos, all of it right there at ShelbyCountyReporter.com. They'll be posted to X. They'll be posted to Facebook as well. And tomorrow, be on the lookout for some Instagram photos and galleries there as well. Fun night ahead. Buckle up. Stay warm, everybody. We appreciate you for tuning in. Hopefully, we've got a little bit more ahead. Thompson, if they win, off next week, on to the state championship the following Wednesday. Spain Park, if they win, into the semifinals next week for a big, big semifinal matchup in 6A. Until then, hopefully, we'll see you next week. But that's going to do it for tonight. Hope you all enjoy your football Friday night.